Hey everybody, Dominic Rubino here from Cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com. How are you? Thank you very much for joining me here. I had a request from one of our readers from the somewhat weekly brief that I send out, kind of a newsletter thing. It's a high-level overview of some action items for people in our industry to take action on to grow their business. And it's about the new thing I posted called Sample Monthly Meeting Agenda for Finance and Forecast Meetings. What a bunch of fun guys we are. A sample meeting agenda for finance and forecast meetings. Who else would be listening to this? Anyways, because there's scripts on here, I like to do scripts wherever I can for you guys so that you actually have something to work off of in your meeting. So you'll notice when you go to the downloads, there's lots of scripts. So somebody said, I can't see myself saying those things, Don. It's not my voice, I guess, he meant. So what I thought I would do is I'm taking this article here, and you can download this article from the website. It's under the heading, here it is again, a simple monthly meeting agenda for finance and forecast meetings. So if you find yourself in a situation where you want to be running finance and forecast meetings so that you have a better control on the company, that the people who need to know what's going on from a finance and forecast viewpoint are getting the info they need, and that you're getting the info you need, then this is a sample agenda to do that. Now, listen, I say it's a sample agenda because it's just a place to start. You take this and then make it your own. ABC Millwork Company is very different than XYZ Kitchen Cabinets and Bath. You know, you guys have to modify this to your own type of business. Heck, you might be a luthier. Are you a luthier? Luthiers are, of course, the people that make guitars and do fine woodwork in that way. But listen, it doesn't matter what kind of company you run. This is the model that works for having a finance and forecast meeting. So I thought I'd bring it to life as I was asked to do. What a great idea, by the way. So here it is, and don't forget you can download this off the website. For those of you who are listening to this as a podcast or watching it as a video on YouTube or something else like that, please make sure you go back and download this. It's a free download. It's there on the website for you to download. Share it with your business partner if you like. Share it with your finance person, your bookkeeper, your accountant, your wife, whoever does your books in your company, and so that you guys are all on the same page. It's a great place to start. So let me go through it, and I'll walk you through. I'll give you some tips and hints and pointers. I'll say some of the parts here of how an effective meeting is run, and that way you can hear it instead of seeing the words. And then you'll understand how to run this finance and forecast meeting in 1 hour or less. That's the problem with many meetings, is that you have this meeting, everybody agrees to come to it, and then the meeting goes off tangent. There's 3 people sitting around the table. It's only relevant to 2 of the people, so the third person's mind starts wandering. You start talking about something else. You actually never come back to the original topic of the meeting. Nothing really gets accomplished. Nothing gets done. One person is sort of just sharpening a pencil, I'll say, and you don't have the meeting again for another couple of months. And what happens there is it's the same as trying to swim a length of the pool without taking a breath. You might be able to do it once, but you certainly can't do it twice because you come up gasping for air, just like you're gasping for the information you need to run this company the way you want it to run. And that's where we come up against that thing that people say, I want to get to the next level. Well, that next level, if you think about that sentence, I want to get to the next level, it's like trying to punch a marshmallow. What is this next level you want? Do you want to be more efficient? Do you want to be more profitable? Would you like to have more time off? Do you want better operations? Do you have a team challenge? What is, people on your team? Right now, here on the West Coast, one of the challenges we have is it's a very tight labor market, super tight. Any dum-dum can get a job for a premium rate, even though they don't have the skills to back it up. And then the other problem that we have, and this certainly is true in Western countries, is that the aging population means that a lot of our journeymen and senior guys are starting to retire, which means that we're starting to backfill now. The new people we're hiring are younger, and you might be shaking your head already saying, millennials. Well, the millennials aren't all that bad. We were that population at one point, the young guys just coming up. They're good. They're good workers. We just need to find the right people. I'm off on a bit of a tangent already. Let me come back. Regardless of what your issue is, running an effective meeting is one of the tools that you need as a leader to run this business and grow it to that next level the way you want. So let's get into it right now. Hopefully my little babbling is giving you time to print this off and hold it up against the video as you're watching it, or maybe while you're listening to the podcast. Okay, so the forecast meeting sample agenda lays it all out for you here. So you can print this out and bring it into the meeting with you, even hand it out to everybody around the meeting. So one of the things that's important is time and timeliness. So as an example, I suggested on this particular script that you have this meeting the third Monday of each month from 10 till 11 a.m. in the boardroom. Now, does it have to be the third Monday of each month? No. The reason I like the third Monday of each month is I like to get things started on Mondays. And by the third Monday, any of the bills we've sent out are starting to trickle in. And so if we've got our finance person in the meeting, and they should be there, they can report on accounts receivable so that we know the cash flow in and out of the business. So you can have this meeting any day of the month you like, but this, as an example, has some thought behind it. The third Monday of each month from 10 to 11. So I like that 10 to 11 block because you can get in, get your guys started on the, you have your toolbox meeting, get the guys on the floor started on what they need to get on, maybe answer some bids from general contractors, answer some designer questions, call a few vendors. Either way, by 10 o'clock, things have settled a little bit, but it's not lunch yet. So you're not tired after lunch. And so it's 10 to 11, and then it's in the boardroom. Now, this is important, and I used to think, well, who wouldn't have the meeting in a closed environment? But some shops don't have an office for the owner. Works out of his home or out of a little corner office, and the shop is right there. You really need to have this meeting where nobody else is listening in, because this is a business operations meeting where you're going to be talking about delicate subjects. So in the boardroom with the door closed, if you don't have a boardroom, if you're already saying, oh, no, this won't work, we don't have a boardroom, then go to your local restaurant. They've got a room in the back or a table in the corner, or a booth in the corner where you can talk, and do it there. Either way, the meeting has to happen, so find a way to make it happen. All right, so third Monday of each month from 10 to 11 a.m. in the boardroom, and I just explained why those are important. Completely up to you, my friend. However you want to do it, whenever you want to do it, the most important thing is that it happens on a consistent basis, at a consistent time, in a consistent place, so that you and this management team who's in this meeting knows that you're in that mode and you're in that zone when you're having this meeting. Okay? So you need a meeting chair as well. So the meeting chair is the person who's going to chair this meeting. So there does need to be one person in charge of the meeting, and I'll let you figure out who that is. It's usually one of the owners, right? So one of the partners, and quite often I see it as the partner who's more finance-minded, or the person that has the responsibility to look after the financial portions of the business. They would generally chair this, but not always. Okay? And so then we've got here attendance. So a reminder to you, so who needs to be in this meeting? A little tip on any meeting you're having in the company: the list of invitees should be brutally, painfully small. You almost need one more person in that meeting, but you don't actually have them in there. And the reason for that is you want your meetings to be lean, and you want them to be efficient, and you want them to be about information, and I hate to say data, but it's just data, right? Have you ever heard the saying, and I heard this from another company, actually outside of the cabinet making industry. Believe it or not, there are companies outside of woodwork. But they said, Dom, in God we trust, everybody else bring data. And at least I laughed because I'm a geek and like that business kind of stuff. So anyways, so who's going to be at this meeting? So in this one I said Fred and George. They're co-owners of this company, Fred and George. And the accountant, whoever the accountant or bookkeeper or finance person is for the meeting. And so now you've got those three people in the meeting, and we can launch into it. So here's what I say when I start off a finance meeting, or when I'm coaching a company and talking to them about how to kick off this kind of regular, repeatable meeting that allows you to grow the business. So that's what it's for, right? This is a tool for smart growth. So the meeting chairperson is going to use this opening statement, and you use it every week, no matter what. Even though it's the same three people around the table, you use the same statement, because it's like your mission statement. It's like the team is taking the field. You're getting everybody focused on what we're about to accomplish in 1 hour or less. And so here's the script. Hi, everybody. This is our monthly finance and forecast meeting. Our goal is to cover off the high points we all need to know to keep our company profitable and growing. Our meeting is scheduled from 10 till 11 today. I'd like us all to work towards being done at 10:45 and spend the last 15 minutes confirming action items so that we agree on who will do what by when. Is that good with everybody? And then look around the table. You've only got 2 or 3 people in the meeting. Please look them in the eye and nod to get agreement, okay? So I want to make sure first that they know we're here for an hour. So there's no cell phones, there's no interruptions. Nobody in your company should be walking into that room during this meeting. This is absolutely sacred time. You also know that the meeting is only going to take an hour, so I need you for an hour, and then you're promising to them you're not going to go over an hour. We know that this is to cover off the high points that we need to know, and the reason why is to keep our company profitable and growing. All of this is in the script here. And you can say it in your own voice, in your own style. You may not like my style. Okay, do it in your style, however that style is, but make sure that those high points are there. So now you've set the rules for how this meeting's going to go, and so that everybody understands how the meeting's going to go, right? Being an effective leader means being an effective and clear communicator. So that's part of this here. So now you get into it. And this is the next part of that little intro statement. I'm going to continue on. This is in the script, by the way, so you have this in front of you when you download this. So I've looked around and got agreement. George, Fred, accountant person, great, thank you. Okay, so our agenda for today is our annual forecast versus our year-to-date overview. What is our projected sales, 30, 60, 90? So 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out. What's our projection? What are our open invoices and receivables? Our vendor issues and lines of credit for product, so product one. And then Profit Lab. So Profit Lab is a little thing you may not have heard about before, but you as the chair of this meeting, you're going to throw that in there as an agenda item weekly with your finance leadership team. And then I like to finish that, and I like to show my clients to finish that with another statement that says, any suggestions or additions to the agenda. So I want you to throw that out there for everybody else in that meeting. Are there any additional agenda suggestions? And the reason that we do that is to get inclusion. So one of the people at the table might have something that is absolutely driving them nuts, saying, you know what, Don, listen, we have a big invoice that I have to get the bill out for so we can get paid today. Or we get a huge credit issue and I need to call back the vendor. There could be something up that's stopping that person from being present in that meeting, and you as the chair need to know that. You also want to know if they have some agenda items they want to add here. So it could be good news, it could be, who cares, it's not for this meeting, or it could be bad news. And either way, you want to know about that. So the agenda today, roll through it. We've got 5 points, and I'm going to walk through what those are here now, and you'll see that again in the download. Okay, so this is another note here for this meeting. Remember I said you could do this at a restaurant if you like, if you don't have a boardroom in your office. But a good reminder for us is that for the meeting chair is that all suggestions for additions to the agenda, so anything that gets added to the agenda, has to be relevant to the finance and forecast meeting. If it's not, that's okay. Just suggest it goes to one of your other regular meetings. And keep all of these suggestions and comments and even the meeting itself without emotion. Because it's really important that we separate the person from the problem or the person from the issue in order to have an effective company that runs really well. Okay? Emotions can throw things off more than you ever think. So keeping a check on our emotions is important. And you have to understand, if somebody says, I'd like to add to our agenda the delivery times that our installers are demanding when they come to pick up stuff to go put it on site. Okay, I respect what the person is saying in this finance and forecast meeting. However, that's not a finance and forecast meeting topic. That's an operations thing. So the way to deal with that is to say, George, thank you. Great suggestion. Let's talk about that right after the finance and forecast meeting. But I'm not going to put it on this agenda. That was side conversation here. So let's talk about that right after this. Anything else relating to the finance and forecast meeting? And then put that on the agenda if it's appropriate, all right? So let's get into it now. So now point number one was, what's our, I'm going to say this as the chair. All right, chair of the meeting. Hey guys, what's our annual sales to date versus annual target? So we're going to ask the accountant to report this number. When we ask for a number to be reported, we're not asking for a story. We're not asking for words, we're asking for a number. So what is our annual sales to date versus our annual target? Ask the accountant to report on that number. So we should say our annual sales to date is 1.6 million. Our annual target is 2.5 million. And then you're going to follow up with a statement that says, we are X% to our annual sales goal with X months to go in the year. So that sets the tone for the whole meeting. We are at 32% of our annual sales goal with 2 months left in the year. That is a very different meeting than saying, we are 101% to our annual sales goal with 4 months left to go in the year. Which meeting would you rather be running? I know which one I'd rather be running. So the meeting chair, briefly comment or discuss this point. Keep it to less than a minute. You'll be able to dig into this throughout the meeting, and that'll just naturally flow. You'll see that in the script, okay? So the next point here on the agenda is what's our projected sales 30, 60, 90? So what I'm referring to there is what's our 30-day projected sales, 60-day, and 90-day. And I understand that we work on big bids. You might not have a sale a month, but what's our projected billing so we know the cash that's coming in? Because the cash keeps the business alive. We've got to pay for labor, overhead, insurance, all those things, right? So the statement is our 30, 60, 90 revenue cash forecast is, and so your accountant or the finance person is now going to say in 3 numbers, 30, 60, 90. So they're going to say 200 grand, 400 grand, 572 grand. Those are the 3 numbers you're going to hear, and that means that in 30 days we're going to get, we're going to say 200 grand, and in 60 days we're going to get the next number, and in 90 days we're going to get 572 grand. So the accountant's going to report that number. So show the following on the whiteboard or a printout. There should be a printout of this, and then talk about new jobs and revenue, but very briefly. This is not a project launch or kickoff meeting. Okay. Then you move on to the number 3. So we're ready now to move on. We've closed off our annual sales to date. Then we've talked about our projected 30, 60, 90. And now we're moving into open invoices and receivables. Ask the accountant to report on that number. So very simple statement, just a number, right? We have X amount in open receivables. And so I'm going to ask him or her to report our 30-day AR, accounts receivable, is blank. Our 60-day accounts receivable is blank. Our 90-day accounts receivable is blank. And then I also like to add here, over 120 days accounts receivable is blank. So that we have an understanding of how much of a bank and financial institution our woodwork shop is. Because open invoices and receivables means that you are funding and financing jobs. Congratulations, you're a bank. You can go home and tell your mom that everything she wanted when she put you through school was to make you a banker, and now you are. You just happen to be doing it through a millwork company. Geez, I'm a smart, you know what. Anyways, it is important to understand this because that kind of facts is super clear and important and helps everybody at the table understand what's going on. I want to reiterate a point here that I brought up earlier. When we're asking the finance person for these numbers, they truly are just numbers. I don't want the story. The story will come later. The story will come when the meeting chair asks for more detail. But ideally, and let me do this properly here, let me throw some numbers in here so that you understand how this portion goes. The 30-day accounts receivable is 100K. The 60-day receivable is 125K. The 90-day accounts receivable is $207,000. And over 120 days accounts receivable is actually 307. That means we've got 100K really old. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I am the finance person. You are the chair. So you're going to say, Dominic, how much do we have in open receivables? Now, as the finance person, I'm going to say 30 days accounts receivable, 100K. 60 days accounts receivable, 125K. 90-day accounts receivable, 207K. Over 120 days accounts receivable, 307K. That's all we need to hear. We know there's a challenge here. Can you guys hear it? Over 120 days accounts receivable, $307,000. Now we can take action. If I had wrapped that up in this big story and big description of everything going on, we're never going to get through this meeting. Just give me the numbers. Just get the numbers out, and we can talk about it later in a prescribed way. So the meeting chair, you have to understand this is going to need some discussion. And this is written here on the script for you to go through. It says, this will need discussion. Help your group clearly define the issue. And once the issue is clearly defined, ask the group this question. Okay, who will do what by when? And it could be as simple as a phone call. You know who it is on the other side that needs the phone call, that needs the reminder to cut that check. Maybe there's a deficiency you guys haven't dealt with. Maybe one of your guys said the deficiency was dealt with, but it hasn't been to the customer's satisfaction. So go and deal with that. But the question that the meeting chair wants to close off this section with is, okay, who will do what by when? And that's it. Imagine if you had this meeting every week in your company, how much more efficiently and effectively things would run, and how much more certainty you'd have when you withdrew money because you wanted to buy your son that racing go-kart that he wants so badly so he can join that go-kart race series that you know is going to cost you a fortune, but man, would that be fun to do. All right, so now it says here, you might be saying, but Dom, when do we talk about change orders? You talk about that at your project meeting, not necessarily in the finance meeting, although there can be crossover, or wherever you have a leadership meeting about individual jobs. Okay, so this is just a big global accounts receivable and accounts payable. So number 4, let's get into our vendor issues and lines of credit for product. Now, because this is a mixed meeting where you might have a bookkeeper or a person in this meeting who's not necessarily on the team that needs to know the company's lines of credit, you can choose whether to have that company line of credit conversation or leave that for private conversation. And that's why the script here reminds you that it's vendor issues and lines of credit for product. Because if your project manager happens to be here, you don't want to let them know that you're running up against the head if you're line of credit. It's not a good thing to let employees know. That's more just for the owners. Ask your accountant to report on this number. It's just a number. Let's just get the number on the table. We can deal with the number. But all I want is the number. So meeting chair, this will need discussion. Help your group clearly define the issue. Once the issue is clearly defined, ask the group, what am I going to ask the group? Who will do what by when? You're starting to see a pattern here, right? And those kinds of action items, that kind of really defined little piece of language helps you run a really tight and efficient meeting. And your team starts to pick up on that. And you'll notice that your bookkeeper starts to have that kind of language with the people reporting to them. And that maybe the guys on the floor, your foreman, starts to use that language with the people reporting to them. And you just start running a much more efficient company and introduce that way of seeing things. By the way, that little line, who will do what by when, is referred to as using coaching as a management style. And I'm getting off topic now, so I'm going to come away. All right, now we're going to do Profit Lab, which was item number 5 on our agenda. And you might be going, Profit Lab, what the heck is that? Yes, Profit Lab is something that I have as a service for owners of companies like yours. This is a different Profit Lab. This Profit Lab is where you as a meeting chair get to have actually a little bit of fun. So this is what you're going to do as the meeting chair. You're going to ask each person, including you, around the table to complete this sentence. This is where all of us are going to do this every week. You imagine, listen to this and think to yourself, as you're driving, as you're walking your dog, what if we did this every week in our company? Here's the question. I want you to finish this sentence. I think we're losing money or time doing X. And here are my suggestions for fixing it. So now, let's say there's 3 of you around the table. 3 of you are going to have a kick at the can at finishing this sentence. I'm going to say the sentence again. I think we're losing money or time doing X. And here are my suggestions for fixing it. Now, the meeting chair can ask the person this next question, and you're going to be surprised at this next question. This next question that you're going to ask that person is, okay, what will you do by when to fix that issue? See what I'm doing here? I love it. At this point in the meeting, you should be about 45 minutes in. And it actually says that here in the script. You can see this, for those of you watching this as a video, there's a gray line here in the script. Now, again, if you're listening to this as a podcast, please go and download the document so you've got it to look at. Just print it out and put it on your desk as a reminder. Just have it around. But at this point in the meeting, you should be 45 minutes in. So now you've got 15 minutes left in this meeting. So as the chair, what I'd like to ask you to do is use that last 15 minutes for this. So the meeting chair, please go around the table and get agreement on each person's action items. Who will do what by when? And then thank everybody and close the meeting. And you, my friend, are done. It actually took me 26 minutes to explain a 1-hour meeting. But I think you can understand from this script how to effectively and efficiently run an internal meeting around finance and forecast in your company. I hope you understand why that's an important thing, because knowing that kind of information is exactly what the big guys are doing in your city right now. And as you have been driving home over the last couple of years, holding onto the steering wheel, white knuckling, wondering what you could be doing different in your business to make the impact you want, so that you take home the money you want, so that you've got the time off to spend with the family you love, and saying, what can I be doing differently? This is part of it right here. So please go ahead and download it. It's a free download. I know I've already got some really great remarks on it from people, so it must be having an impact. So please go ahead and download it and enjoy. Thank you very much for joining us here on Cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com. I appreciate your time, because I know you're a busy guy, and I know you've got lots to do. If you have friends in the industry who you think would benefit from seeing this video, please share it with them. At the very least, please like the video or like the podcast. That helps us. And the reason that that's important is because the more you help us increase our rankings on iTunes and things like that, the more cabinet makers and the more of your friends that we're going to be able to influence as well. And as they say, a rising tide floats all ships. Everybody get increases when we increase. So I do appreciate you taking the time to share this or like this or comment on this. If you do have private comments you want to leave, there's lots of ways to reach me through the website. Please feel free to reach out. If you want to do your own profit lab, and we have a 90-day profit lab that I do for select companies out there in this industry. Now, there's an application process on the website for Profit Lab. Feel free to apply there, and if you qualify, we'll have a 20-minute meeting to talk about what that means and if that's the right product or service for you. If it's not, I'll give you some suggestions as to where to go to get your business to the place you need it to be so you can take advantage of Profit Lab. Listen, either way, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. I love doing this. I'm pretty sure you can tell, and I hope I'm having an impact. So let me know your success stories out in the field as well. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.